Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all about the Easter Bunny or just the bunny. You don't have to call it an Easter Bunny, I guess. So these are little wooden ones that I cut out just using my trusty old bandsaw, and they're just made out of those project boards that you can buy at Home Depot. So I made these three sizes and there's a fourth one too. So here's number one, paint and gilded transfers. So first I'm going to paint this guy with, this is Country Chic paint, and I think it's called Secret Garden. I'll confirm that. And I give it a good 2 coats to make sure it's fully covered. And then we're going to go with this gilded transfer. This is Cibelle. This was one of the newest ones in the spring release, and I haven't used it yet, so this is all new for me. So I go through a little difficulty trying to figure out which ones I want to use. I thought that was going to be easier than it was, but I tend to make transfer placement kind of complicated anyways, so I overthink it. Once I just quit overthinking and just grab something and go, it usually works out perfectly fine. So I'm going to go with these longer pieces on his ears. And what I found with the gilded transfers is that you want to use a gentler touch. And the same as the regular transfers, I'm just peeling back that backing paper as I go, just kind of keeping an eye on it. I did find these harder to see. I don't know if that's my old lady eyes or what, but I did have some trouble seeing if this was releasing or not. But otherwise, they were pretty simple. They turned out really good on this paint. The Country Chic is an all-in-one, so built-in top coat. And look how perfect that is. They're gorgeous. So I have all the gilded transfers on there, and then I decide on the edge. This is about 3/4 of an inch thick, this wood, and I'm going to paint gold on that edge just to kind of tie it all together. This is DIY Paint's golden ticket. And this I have in my store, so I will have the link in the description for this. And I'm just using a smaller paintbrush and just getting that edge on there. This really kind of finishes the look and ties in with that gilded transfer. I'm doing a little bit of brushing on the face of it too, just to give that kind of little gilded edge, basically. Just a little oomph. You can see it there all around the edges. I'm just going and touching that up now. Just gives it a little bit extra. All about the extra. It's those little touches. And of course, we'll paint the bottom because why not? Okay, so now I'm going to give this a top coat. So this is DIY Paint's Big Top, which is their clear coat. And it's kind of a, I'm going to call it, they call it a satin finish, but I'd say it's kind of more of a semi-gloss. But this will just seal that transfer in there. So if you wanted to dust it with a damp cloth or something, it's fine. So there we go. There is bunny number one. It looks so elegant. Okay, so here's number two. We're going to use decoupage and paint inlays. And this guy's a little bit different. It's the first time I've cut one out like this. It just kind of gives you that sitting, like he's just kind of sitting there. So this is White Swan, and I just gave it a little bit of water to thin it a little bit because you know how thick DIY paint is. And I'm just going to give this underpaint um, for the decoupage paper. I want my decoupage paper to stay nice and bright and show off all of the design, the image. So I'm going with a white underpainting. What you put underneath makes a difference into how your decoupage shows up at the end. Okay, so now I am going with, this is the Roycycled Burlap Roses, I think it's called. I'm terrible at remembering the names of these products lately. And this is a double kind of, it's got a big print on one side and a finer print on the other side, a more detailed, not more detailed, but a smaller of the same. And I'm going to go with the smaller because it's kind of a busier project. Busy, I mean the shape, that bunny shape. So I'm just kind of scoring it so I can see where to cut it out a little bit. And I just want to get a rough cutout. I'm not looking for perfection. That makes it too hard to actually apply the decoupage. So I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to go about a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. It's kind of random around the edge. You want to get kind of as close as, I wouldn't go much more than 3/4 of an inch because it makes it a little bit more difficult as you're applying. You end up with some curling and shrinking and makes it a little bit difficult. So here I am using the Liquitex acrylic medium, and I've found this to be really good for decoupage and for paint inlays, actually. I've been on a mission of trying new products, and if you guys are aware, I'm in Canada, so we're having a little bit of questioning on what products we're going to be able to still be able to source sometimes and for a reasonable price. So that's why I'm trying all kinds of different products. Country Chic paint is Canadian. Liquitex is obviously not Canadian, but it's easy to get here. So and now we're just going to trim it off. This is after it dried. There's a little fast forward there. And I'm just sanding it with a sanding block just on that free edge. I lifted it up onto a paint can because it just makes it easier than trying to hold it and sand at the same time. That little bit of lift makes this a lot easier. Just all the way around. Get rid of all that excess. If you don't wait for this to dry, your paper just kind of tears and smushes, and you could end up with it tearing back onto the project, and you don't want that. You want a nice, clean, crisp line, and that's super easy once it's dry. It's a little bit harder to get in between those ears. This is a nail file, and then I think I grabbed just a little piece of sanding paper finally, and that gets in there easier. There we go. Okay, so it's all cleaned up. And we're going to do the other side with a different paper. This one's called Patina Roses, and it's got this beautiful turquoise background and the butterflies. It's just a really pretty, fresh spring paper. So same process. We are going to, I do mist the paper first before I start laying it down. It does kind of help get no wrinkles. And then I'm still using my little balled up piece of food wrap, and that helps smooth it out without the friction of your fingers. And again, once dry, Just go around with your sanding block or sandpaper and get all those edges cleaned up. Okay, both sides are done with the decoupage. And now I'm going to paint that outside edge. And remember, on the first bunny, I did it in gold. Well, this one, I'm going to do it in that same green Country Chic Secret Garden. I want to tie all these bunnies kind of together so they all kind of have a theme, at least with color. So I'm going to do green on that edge. And I'm just being careful to not get it all over the face of my project. Just keeping an eye on it as I go. And I just have my baby wipe handy, and I just wipe off any excess paint that has made its way to the face. No matter how careful you are, you end up with that. And when using a paint like this that has a built-in top coat, you want to keep on that before it dries, because otherwise you won't be able to get it off. And don't forget the bottom. It just finishes it. You don't want to lift it up off your shelf and have this raw wood bottom, right? Okay, so now this is the Spring Melody paint inlay. This is also from the newest release this spring. And I'm just gonna pick out a couple of these little bunnies. And this is in the kind of taupey color. I think it's the taupey color, or is it green? It's kind of green. Kind of both. And just picking some spots to put it. I'm also using that Liquitex acrylic medium to apply it. This is the matte medium. And I don't have any trouble. I will leave this to dry overnight before I try to take that off. And I've never had any issues. Just make sure that you mist it well before you go to take it off, and it'll peel. Your backing paper peels off really, really good. Just misting it here to help release that paint into that decoupage medium. And we're just going to let that set as we work on the other. I put 2 more on here. Just dabbing off a little bit of the extra water so it's not sitting on that decoupage paper. I do find this Liquitex matte medium is to be a lot tougher than other products that I've used. It gives you a way harder finish, a little bit more protective, I guess. Just gently pressing him down into that medium, and now that mist of water to release, to help release him from the backing paper into that medium. I don't know why these bunnies are all hymns, but they're hymns to me. They're boy bunnies. Maybe they're hares, not bunnies. whatever. I'm not going to be super technical about it. So don't come at me for calling them bunnies when they're hares. I get it. One more little one up here on the side of his head. If you're having difficulty with the paint inlays, I know a lot of people are still intimidated by them. Don't hesitate to pop me an email or put a question in the comments. I really like the inlays and I have experimented with them with multiple mediums and products. So fire away with your questions. I'd be happy to help. Okay, so this dried overnight. So this is the next morning. And I'm giving it a mist to really kind of soak that paper. You want to get that paper wet, especially because of the medium that I'm using. Like this is an acrylic medium, so it's tough. And you want to get that paper wet so you can peel it off without it leaving all kinds of biddies. So make sure you get all of it. Just rubbing that water around to make sure everything is covered and saturated. And then just gently peel it back. Look at that. And this is just a cloth. I'm just carefully, just one dab and just to get the excess water off. If you play around with that too much, you're going to smear your inlay and you don't want to do that. Because remember, these are a chalk style paint. They will reactivate with the moisture and smudge on you. And you don't want that to happen. But see how nice that comes up? No issues. And this, like I said, dried overnight. Just a quick dab. Okay, so this is ready to be sealed, and I'm going to use the same Liquitex acrylic medium to seal it. This is that swipe method that I've mentioned probably in all of my paint inlay videos. You just want to put the medium quickly over your paint inlay. It works really well with these small ones to just quickly brush over it. On a larger piece, you might be more comfortable using a spray top coat. Okay, so this is my golden ticket that you can see I've put in a little squeeze bottle now because I was really fighting with always opening the original jar it comes in. And I'm just dabbing it on my finger and applying it to the edges. So this is, like I was saying earlier, I want to kind of tie all of these bunnies together. So this gives me that little bit of gold bling on the edges, just like I had the gilded transfer on the other ones. Just gives it that little bit of bling. Okay, so now here's Bunnies 3 and 4. Now this one is paint, stamps, and the gilded transfers. This is these little twins here. So first things first, I am going to be painting with Country Chic paint again. This color is called Driftwood. So it's a nice kind of a sandy, taupey brown color. It's a good neutral. I've used this paint on a few projects recently and I'm happy with it. It dries to a matte finish and the coverage is pretty good. So I recommend. I'm painting the full, even the edges with this color. Okay, so now that those are dry, we're going to do some stamping. Got my brayer handy, and this is the Velveteen stamp from the newest release again. And I'm just going to pick a page. I like this one. So these stamps come in these cute little envelopes now. It's handy for storage. These smaller scale stamps. It's kind of a newer thing from IOD. Now I'm using DIY paint with this because I had the initial plan that I might want to kind of smudge it a little bit. So this is layered chocolate, which is a really dark brown. And this is gypsy green, or is that Fancy Farm Girl? Yes, that's Fancy Farm Girl. And I'm got a little bit too mixed up there. I want a little bit more of that green to show, kind of like a marbling. And now I'm just going to roll it on my stamp. Keep in mind that you don't get quite as crisp of an image when you use paint with the stamps. You could water it down, but I still find you get a crisper image with ink. But I wanted the flexibility of the DIY paint, so I'm going with the paint. Just place it down, and don't forget, you got to commit. Once you lay that stamp down, you're committed. So I stabilize always with one hand and then just press the stamp into my project with my other hand, just gently. You don't want to push too hard because you'll smush it around and give yourself a blurry image. I think that turned out really well. So I'm going to continue on doing the rest and give it a quick dry so I can do the other side. I got a little bit more green on this side, so I kind of like this side better. Okay, so these are dry, and now here comes some gilded transfer again. And I'm just going to put little bits on these ones because they are kind of busy with all the stamping on there. And I didn't seal these first, so they were a little bit harder to transfer. I find these gilded transfers work really, really well on an all-in-one paint. Putting them on DIY paint, even on just that stamped bit, made it a little bit more difficult. Now this is Big Top again that I'm going to use as a sealer. And again, because this is a clay-based chalk style paint, it will reactivate with the moisture in this sealant. So I'm just kind of swiping it on there. You don't want to overbrush and smear your pretty stamp. So just get it on there and don't play around with it too much. Trying to avoid any runs on the edges here. Just using a really light touch. And now this is the gilding wax. This is a DIY paint product. They're having some issues with this, so I no longer have it in my store. Hopefully I can get it back when they figure stuff out. There was some inconsistencies in the viscosity of it, so they kind of pulled it for now until they get it figured out. You can use your favorite gilding wax brand. Okay, my friends, that's a wrap. 4 simple projects made out of some cutout bunny blanks. I hope these projects inspired you to mix and match your craft supplies and get totally unique and wonderful results. Have fun. I'll see you next time.